But first, obviously, the marquee fight of the weekend was Alexander Usyk defeating Chaz Witherspoon via the seventh round technical stoppage. And I think, obviously, the narrative coming out of it is more of a negative narrative about Alexander Usyk and its heavyweight debut. I mean, the title is of the show, disappointing. I think that's probably the best way to phrase it. I think a lot of us were expecting great things from Usyk because he dominated Gassiev in such a one-sided fashion. Sort of not really dominated Bellew because Bellew had some really good success early in the fight, but definitely knocked him out in a knockout of the year contender fashion. Then moving up to heavyweight, he takes almost a year off, right, or up to a year off, I think, from the Tony Bellew fight, and loses momentum. Has injury replacements for his fighters, or replacements period. First it was Takam to Tyrone Spong, then Spong to Chaz Witherspoon. And it seems like the hype for the fight died down significantly, just the hype for Usyk overall. And then on top of it, again, Usyk sort of looked flat in his performance. Was eating right hands a little bit too often to a guy that really shouldn't probably have been touching him that much when other guys who were far better weren't. And I don't know if that's chalking it up to the year layoff, moving up in heavyweight, the combination of those two things, the amount of opponent shifting and changing that went on. But clearly, it was not a A-plus night for Alexander Usyk. Rob, your thoughts on Usyk's performance and, again, sort of not the sort of negative narrative around Usyk's heavyweight run at this point in time.
Yeah, I get it, but I also not like blown away by his performance, but I thought he'd done fine. I think he always eases himself into a fight, kind of Lomachenko style. He'll take a look, kind of compute things, pick up on any little towels and feints, and then he gradually goes through the gears. And I think when he exploded into his combinations, I thought he looked real good. And maybe I saw a bunch of people saying like, "Oh, he can't even hurt Chaz Witherspoon. What's he going to do to Wilder? Or how does he think he's going to beat Wilder? If Wilder touches this guy, he's out." And then people are like, well, isn't that true of any heavyweight? If Wilder hits them, kind of thing. So for me, I think, like you say, a lot of the wind went out the sails off the back of the Bellew knockout. And then the kind of hype about, oh, he's coming back. He's coming to heavyweight. Takam, that's a good opponent. I like this fight. This is really good. Then he got the injury. Then Takam went off and signed with ESPN. Then we're getting Tyrone Spong. And then it was this week when Witherspoon stepped in. People say, oh, damn, I was really looking forward to Tyrone Spong fight. And it's like, were you? Were you, though? Or is it now it's been downgraded to Witherspoon? Suddenly Spong looks like a legit contender. And this was a great fight. And we've been robbed of that because of Spong testing positive and stuff. So I think with it being Witherspoon, but look, I mean, Gary was there. He'll obviously tell us about it, but there was, I believe, just over 9,000 there. Seemed a hell of a bunch of Ukrainians. It seemed to have real good support there. They turned out for him, and I wasn't like disappointed in Usyk. I wasn't expecting him to one punch knock out Witherspoon, even though it was Chaz Witherspoon, as air quotes or whatever, like Chaz Witherspoon or whoever, whatever. But I think he just turned it up, went through the gears. Yeah, he got caught a little bit. I've seen Bellew catch Usyk. He seems to take shots pretty well. And yeah, I thought it was okay. But I just think it's the opponent change, the layoff, and everything that's kind of added this to. If this was off the back of the Bellew, like a few months later off of Bellew, I don't think it would have been quite as, because people would be fresh into having seen Usyk and what he does, because he was losing rounds to Bellew, and then he turned it up, and eventually overwhelmed, and he made Bellew work that much more that he couldn't. It took the wind out of Bellew, and then he was there for the taking, and he got knocked out. Look, Witherspoon not conditioned enough to even come out in the 7th round or whatever it was, so in the 8th. So I wasn't like disappointed in Usyk, but yeah, not massively blown away either. But I thought it was fine.
Before we jump to Gary, I just want to make a quick point. My personal take on the fight is that offensively, there's no real issue with what Usyk did, because like you said, he's not really the power puncher traditionally speaking. He's a guy that like, sort of works himself into a fight. But defensively, I thought we saw a sloppy performance from Usyk, and that is uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah,
I want to make
maybe
that
right.
distinction. I agree with you offensively. Like, why were people expecting a first round knockout? That's not him. Plus, he's moving up in weight for the first time. Like, that shouldn't be expected. But the defensive lapses he committed in this fight were frequent, and that is something I think people were not expecting. But Gary, you obviously were in attendance. How was the atmosphere for the fight? And again, your thoughts on the performance of Alexander Usyk, and did it impress you? Did it disappoint you? Thoughts?
Well, I think if I answer the first question, it'll help explain maybe the bias in the second question, because the atmosphere was amazing. It was as if he was fighting in his home. Like the crowd, it was, I would have guessed about 10,000. Rob said it was just a little over 9, which the place held 10-8, right, for basketball. So let's say it holds 11-5 for boxing. It's almost sold out, right? And it was all Usyk fans. The chant, I mean, there was more Ukraine flags than I'd ever seen ever, right? Like it was like a Ukrainian Day Pride Parade. Like it was insane.
Were there more Ukrainian flags than Texas flags in your house?
There was. So
wow.
Keep that. Yeah.
Wow.
So like when you guys were saying that, you know, there were defensive lapses, I mean, every time Usyk fired a shot, the crowd went crazy, right? Like at the end of the fight, you would have think he just knocked out Joshua or Wilder. Like that's the way the crowd reacted. It's like, and then I had to like reel it back in. I was like, okay, hang on. This was Chaz Witherspoon. Let's keep that in perspective. But you know, I thought he looked good. He did get hit a few times, but he's fighting a guy. First, I want to comment on this. They list Usyk as 6'3". I'm 5'11". He stood next to me. I stood next to him at the weigh-in. That guy's 6'1" in heels. He ain't 6'3". I don't know who measured him at 6'3". That boy ain't 6'3". He's like 6'1". So, I mean, he's fighting a guy much bigger than him. There might have been some issues with range, trying to find the range, and he got hit fighting a bigger guy. I would say if I had to grade the performance, it was good, but it's incomplete because it's of who he fought. I couldn't find anything negative outside of he got hit by Witherspoon, who, let's be fair, is a sparring partner, really. A little bit too much, you know. But I thought Usyk gave a good performance, but it was, again, it's an incomplete. Like, look who you fought.
Agree on all parts. And I think this is one of those fights where Usyk's in the position where he has so much hype behind him, especially from just hardcores, that if he doesn't deliver in any spectacular fashion, he's going to get criticism. Like, that's just naturally how it's going to be. And plus, he is a little bit more of an unknown product at the heavyweight division. You know, let's just be honest. If he's struggling to adapt to the range at heavyweight for a guy like Chaz Witherspoon, guys like Fury, AJ Wilder, guys are significantly bigger than him with massive range advantages and reach advantages. I mean, I think Usyk's going to have a transitionary period here, and maybe he should take a little bit of a slow road to the heavyweight top, because I don't know if he would go and beats these top 3 guys right now, right off the bat. I'll be honest. He got hit a lot in this fight. And again, maybe that's due to the year layoff, him being a heavyweight for the first time, the combination of those factors. But whenever I see a guy have a questionable performance in a way, I rather them take a sidestep before they get a huge jump up and fight the winner of AJ Ruiz, which is what Usyk wants.
Yeah, but on that, I believe the WBO is going to end up getting stripped, and I think he'll be facing the winner of something like Parker, and because I believe Fury's number 2 behind Usyk, but he's tied up and like making a deal with Usyk. Is he going to take whatever that, you know, like, is it 50-50 a split for I don't know. I guess it is. But it could even by then be Daniel Dubois, Parker winner, or something like that to face Usyk. So I don't know. They necessarily think it's going to be Joshua Ruiz that Usyk will be fighting for that title.
Chisora and Parker are probably the best names for him. Like if one of those guys isn't the next fight for Usyk, I'm questioning Eddie Hearn's matchmaking skills. Because that is
He works for the fighter, though, man. He works for the fighter.
I understand, but there's no way that Chisora, Parker, and Usyk all don't want to fight each other. Because all those fights are money fights. All those fights are good fights. It's a fight towards the championship. There's no way they say no to that fight. Any of them. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Chisora's not going to say no to that if you offer him a cool $3 to $5 million. Right?
Is there that much money in a Usyk fight? Like $3 to $5 million?
There's that money. There's that much money in heavyweight boxing, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that seems like a lot. But
Gary, you just in attendance and 9 to 10,000 screaming Ukrainians turned up for that.
And again, Gary, go back and look at Chisora's purses in his last few fights. He's making 7 figures. Okay, he's on pay-per-view in the UK. I would assume a Usyk Chisora fight is a UK pay-per-view, and it's in the UK.
Yeah.
If it's not, it would be in Chicago probably.
But
that would be a misstep. In my opinion.
I was going to say, when talks of Usyk was fighting in Chicago, and I think Matt was like, why the hell is he?
No. That was Gary calling in, shitting on it. I've always been the mindset you can build Chicago. It's not traditionally a fight town, but there is a ginormous. Let me finish my statement. There's a ginormous Eastern European population there, and you could tap into that if you just try.
Yeah. No, I just think that you were like that. Sort of, why not fight him in the Ukraine, or fight him in his home? Why try to build? He's fought here and stuff like that. But now it looks like they've got a market for him, right? They turned out. So going forwards, if there's a US fight, it looks like he's got a US base. Chicago looks like
but
Usyk town, and obviously he can make big fights over here as well. We know him, and
yes, but the big fights that we were talking about should not be made in Chicago. Like if we're talking about Chisora, Parker, White, even maybe not Miller. I could see a Usyk Miller fight being in Chicago. That would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wilder, AJ, Andy Ruiz. None of those fights are in Chicago. Chicago is the great sort of. It's gonna sound weird, but like the tune-up fight town for him in a way, or like the softer touch fight for him. Like whenever he's gonna fight, what would be a good name? Like the Joey DeWalcos of the world. That's gonna be in Chicago from now on, or at least it should be. Yeah. Similar to how Loma has made LA a good base for himself. Triple G as well made LA a good base for himself.
No, agree.
I wanted to add one thing. Eddie Hearn said that Usyk's next fight is going to be for the WBO heavyweight title. Now, he didn't say Joshua Ruiz. Maybe one of them's going to vacate. The winner would vacate it, but Eddie Hearn said that in no uncertain terms. Like, he's not taking another in-between fight. So, if Joshua or Ruiz, whoever wins that, holds on to the belt, that's what we're looking at, according to Eddie Hearn.
Look, I think it's promoter talk because nothing in terms of IBF or WBO mandatories matter until we find out what happens on December. What day is that? 7th. The day that live in infamy.
But apparently the as it stands, I think Pulev will get his first, which means the WBO will strip. No, I'm just saying that's kind of how it's being.
I know that's what Eddie is saying. But that's what I'm saying. It's promoter talk,
and many more. Sort of bringing
it's cool. Eddie's been saying it. It's promoter talk because the WBO doesn't have a deep history of stripping champions at all. IBF does. So if we were in a reverse scenario here, where the WBO was first and Pulev wanted the shot, I would 100% agree with you, Rob, and anyone else was saying that they were going to strip the IBF because the IBF has a deep history of doing that. But the WBO, man, just slip them a couple Benjamins, they're good. Let's be 100% honest. Okay, like they're not going to give two shits about waiting. And on top of it, I think when Usyk is saying that, and he's not going to take an in-between fight, and he's going to fight for the WBO title next, he's just saying that. When the option is, look, like, AJ beat Ruiz. We're gonna do the trilogy fight. Sorry, I'm taking in between fight Parker or Chisora. He's gonna say yes because they're gonna offer him 7 figures of some figure. Whether it's 2 or 3, 4 or 5 million, and he's gonna take it. It's gonna be in the UK. It's gonna be on pay-per-view. It's gonna do good numbers, and everyone's gonna be okay with it, including Usyk, including the WBO, including these entities that could strip titles and such, in my opinion. But circling back, any other thoughts on the X's and O's of Usyk, Witherspoon? What's next for this? Either guy in this fight, or just honestly Usyk. Any other thoughts, basically, on the main event here?
I just wanted to add one thing. Matt is right. The WBO is totally and completely up for sale. If you throw a couple dollars at them, they'll do what you ask. Bob Arum has them in their pocket. It's like the WBO is the top ranked champ. So Matt's right. I mean, that really, the W bogus means nothing.
Agreed. Team Batman Boxing in Vegas for Canelo. Kovalev, Matt, maybe. I definitely applied. Got to find out. They don't let us know till like a week or two before the fight if we're accepted. So,
if not, you'll be at KSI Logan Paul.
Well, that's a different week. So, and I've decided I'm going to that. I have too many like media friends that are going, and I think it's going to be too much of a shit show to not go and get drunk after with a bunch of buddies.
Me and Gary could try to hold it down for a live fight chat.
Let's not go that far. Moving on, the co-main event: Dimitri Bivol defeating Lenin Castillo in another maybe potentially semi-disappointing fight, in only the sense that, again, Bivol, a guy that's received a ton of hype. Maybe the hype has been hyperbolic because he's not really a knockout artist. Lenin Castillo is a guy that has never been knocked out, so you should have expected this to go maybe the full 12. Looking back on it, and Bivol, to me, is a guy that needs to be at mid to long range to get his offense going and to be defensively efficient. If he's stuck on the inside, I feel like he is an inefficient fighter. He's hittable, and there was numerous times where Castillo was able to get on the inside and sort of like bully Bivol, who's the far better boxer. Even though Bivol clearly won like almost every round, if not every single round, knocked him down, it was just a far more competitive fight, even in a 120 scorecard, than I expected, and I think especially Bivol fanboys should be expecting. Again, having this conversation is last night. No, it was Friday night with guys like Info Joe, JP from Long Beach, Fern, Santiago. We all got together, right? And talking about the welterweight division and how that pack is far more close and competitive than previously thought, right? I think at light heavyweight, that's probably the case as well. Vajdic, Beterbiev, Bivol. There's no clear number one guy in that division right now that's going to reign over it. I think they're all relatively around the same level, that they do different things, but they're all relatively around the same competitive level at this point in time. And I will say Bivol does seem a little bit undersized for 175. But other than that, looked good. The jab was good. And when he puts combinations together, I think he's a fantastic boxer. But the hype that he is, the next pound-for-pound great definitely needs to be pushed down. The hype that he's the next Andre Ward, I think, needs to be pushed down as well, especially since he was on a great run of competition, fighting Isaac Chalemba. Who else did he fight in that run? Let me go and check. Gary, thanks for the help. John Pascal, Joe Smith Jr., Solomon Barrera fought all those guys in a row and then fights Lenin Castillo and looks a little bit flat. Weird performance. But, guys, opening up to you, either one of you wants to take it. Bivol's performance. Good performance, bad performance, a little bit of what we should be expecting from him going forward now. Thoughts on maybe the hype of him, and is it hyperbolic now? Just thoughts overall.
I have two contrasting opinions on this. One, this is the second time in a row where the other guy in the ring with Bivol looks way bigger than him. Castillo looked 20 pounds bigger than him in the ring. Joe Smith looked 20 pounds bigger than him. I think he's fighting in the wrong weight class. I mean, if you stand next to guys like Kovalev, Joe Smith, they're big guys. I don't think Bivol's bigger than Jamal Charlo. I really don't. Like I don't think he's a light heavyweight. That being said, I think he's the best light heavyweight in the world. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's going to get
Vajdic destroyed Adonis Stevenson. You have the audacity to say that.
Okay, Vajdic would be the other. I would say that was number 2. I think Bivol can outbox Vajdic. I think that's the fight we all want to see, and I think we will get it next year for sure at some point. But I think Bivol's too good of a boxer for Vajdic. I think Gilberto Ramirez has the style where he can get on the inside, but Bivol's a way better boxer than him, right? So I don't see who at 175. But if I had to pick someone, I'd pick Vajdic. But I think just if I had to bet, I think Bivol beats Vajdic, and I think he beats everyone else at 175. Matt doesn't agree with that.
No,
Gary,
I don't. I'm gonna let Rob talk because there's 3 of us. I don't want to interrupt the flow. Rob, jump in, and then I'll rant.
Obviously, in this case, it's going to be 2 against 1. Now, which way is that 2 and which is that 1? Gary, I got to say, I agree with you.
I knew you were going to do that. You Eddie Hearn.
No. Straight up.
Boy.
Hey, Matt, throw the Eddie Hearn stuff away. Right? Look, like, did Wilder destroy Tyson Fury? No. Why? Because Fury's a better boxer. Just because someone's a beast doesn't mean they're immune to being outboxed. I think Bivol, as much as I want him to finally let his hands go, like he got Castillo down, and I'm like, right, go in. I mean, it was kind of a flash knockdown, but his legs did stiffen up, and he kind of, he did recover well. He got up and looked like, I'm good. Let's keep fighting. But there were times when Bivol did let his hand. I thought if he just did this at any point in this fight, I think he could overwhelm the guy. But he's happy just to go. I'll just win 120. You know what I mean? I'll just win every round. It's no problem. I can do it. I'm super fit. I agree with Gary as well. He looks undersized for 175, but you mentioned all the guys he's smaller than and got like the other guys seem to have pounds on him, but he's dominating them and winning them. It's just I wish he was just that little bit more exciting, but I think he can outbox anyone in the division. I'm not saying he wins, Matt. I'm not going as far as he definitely wins, but I think he's perfectly capable of outboxing Beterbiev, outboxing Vajdic, outboxing Kovalev, you know. But let's be honest, as soon as Canelo beats Kovalev, Canelo's the number 1 light heavyweight.
I'm trying so hard. My blood pressure's rising, and I'm just trying to do some breathing exercises here. Well, I don't see the argument that Bivol's a better boxer than Vajdic. I think that argument's bullshit. I think Bivol is like Mike Garcia, where people rant and rave about his boxing ability, but he actually goes and fights someone with diverse ability and diverse skill set, and he's going to get outboxed. That's what's going to happen. Okay, and a guy that can go fight moving backwards and forward, a guy that can fight going sideways, a guy that can throw bombs, a guy that can box, a guy that can be slick, that's Vajdic. Bivol's a very basic boxer puncher. Okay, and a guy that also cannot take pressure well. So if you're talking about a guy like Beterbiev, who's, a through and through a pressure fighter, that's the style matchup to give Bivol issues. And on top of it, he's facing a better boxer against Vajdic. Vajic's going to beat him too. So I don't understand the narrative that Bivol is this once-in-a-generational boxer or that he is the better boxer of everyone in this group. I don't think that's true. Maybe he's a better boxer than Beterbiev, but I would then argue that the stylistic matchup does not favor Bivol still. But he's clearly not the better boxer than Vajdic. I don't think you can make that argument. You know, I know Gary wants to jump in, but I don't think outboxing Sullivan Barrera, Joe Smith Jr., old man John Pascal, who gave him some work too, and Isaac Chilemba means that you're the best boxer in the division. That doesn't mean at all. Those are a lot of basic guys too. So I just don't see that argument at all. I think that's a hyperbolic, hardcore narrative that's been put out there about Bivol for a long time because he had some hype. He has a good amateur career. But he doesn't have the win to say that he is the best boxer in the division. Vajic did, and he clearly showed it against Don Stevenson. He outboxed him and beat him up.
No, I when you said that, you compare him to Mikey Garcia, yeah, I think that's a good comparison. You talk about Mikey Garcia like he's not that good. Mikey Garcia is a pound for pound guy. Like Mikey Garcia got beat up by Errol Spence, a guy 2 weight classes bigger than him and probably just better than him, right? But that doesn't mean Mikey's not good. It just means that there's a special talent in that weight class.
Look, Gary, I know you do this a lot. When I criticize fighters, you think I either hate them or I now think they're trash. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but you're saying like he's Mikey
know
Garcia.
that.
Yeah, that's really good. Like his fundamentals are really good.
But I don't think Mike Garcia is the best guy at 135, 140, or 147.
I think he's
What do you mean?
35.
Lomachenko outboxes him. Easy.
Is Mikey too big for Loma though? Like I Mikey's big. Mikey's a big 135 pounder.
Oh, Matt's gone. What have you done, Gary? Look, he just said like just because Bivol's beaten X, Y, and Z, and now Mikey Loma Mikey, but who's Loma fought? Because he's only fought X, Y, and Z. But that argument doesn't count or counts this time.
What do you mean? I walked away. What are you saying?
No, I know. If you stick around, you would have heard it.
It was funny though.
Again,
it was a good point too, but we're not going to repeat it.
Yeah, I'll repeat it because this is fun. Matt, you said just because Bivol has fought X, Y, and Z, like the names you listed, doesn't mean he's the better boxer and beats like a Vojtic. But then you're saying Loma, they haven't fought each other, Mikey and Loma, but Loma just beats Mikey easy.
Well,
and
here's why.
Fought X, Y, and Z.
Here's why. It's really simple, okay? Because Loma has fought the better boxer of the two. You go down Loma's resume and Mikey's resume, who has fought and beaten the better boxer? Loma has that, okay? For Vojtic and Bivol, you go down their resumes, who has beaten the better boxer? Clearly Vojtic. So that's my point. It's not just like, oh, they've beaten these guys, that means nothing. No. I'm saying these guys, while they're good, they're not the best boxer in the division. They're not even traditionally really slick boxers to really show that you're the better traditional boxer in that connotation. So that's my point, Rob, if that helps clarify what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of some weird triangle theory, and
no,
don't work.
It's not really that at all. The idea that Bivol is the best boxer in the division has to be proven. And I'm arguing it has not been proven with the likes of Joe Smith Jr., Sullivan Barrera, who are not really great boxers. I'm using that in not the sense that they're not great in the division, they're not highly ranked. I'm saying they're not slick guys. You know what I mean? I'm using that connotation. Am I wrong? Or do you think Sullivan Barrera and Joe Smith Jr. are slick boxers? No.
Barrera's not slick, but Barrera is technically
He
good.
is. And that's why I made the Mikey Garcia comparison. Because Mike Garcia is technically skilled. Yeah. But he is basic in what he wants to do. He cannot fight going backwards. Cannot fight going laterally. He has a basicness to his style. He is efficient and highly technical in what he does, but it's not diverse. He doesn't have a giant toolbox and go in and pick things up when he's running out of ideas. He doesn't have that. Bivol, similarly, does not have a bunch of different ideas he can go back in the well and find plan C, D, E, F, G. He doesn't have that. He has plan A, and that's it, similar to Mikey. And that plan A is really good, but against certain guys, plan A is not going to work. And there's never a clear plan B for these guys.
And I get what Matt's saying, right? Like Andre
Don't
Ward.
fold, Gary. Don't fold.
Matt
has to always make you believe what he thinks. It's just opinions. It doesn't matter. Just stand by your gut. Go with it.
Like when Andre Ward beat who did Ward beat to win the title? The big slow white dude from Denmark or whatever. What was his name?
Kessler?
Peter Schmeichel.
Kessler. He outboxed Kessler. He stood at range and outboxed him. And then he fought Saki Opika. It's like, I would have grinded out and fight in a phone booth and win every round that way. You know, there was like so many different things, different ways. Ward could beat you any way he wanted to. Bivol can't. If you get in Bivol's grill, Joe Smith got in his grill once and almost knocked him out. Like, if you get in his grill, he doesn't have anything else to go to. Like,
after
he doesn't.
That was after the bell anyway.
It was not him.
I'm sure we can teach Bivol to punch someone in the dick. That ain't no problem. He'll be as good as Ward then.
And quickly, because some people are pushing back on the idea that Loma has been a better boxer than Mikey. Mikey's best win is what, Gary? Like Salido, Robert Easter Jr.
I would say because of the size difference, Easter's the best boxer. Sure, Easter's the best pure boxer of the bunch
on his resume, right? Yeah.
I would say his best win is
Okay.
Easter's the best boxer on the resume. He is.
Okay. Loma's beating Luke Campbell at the division. Luke Campbell has a fucking Olympic medal. Easy, done. End of story. Also, Rigo, Nicholas Walters. Like, you can go down the list, guys.
He did beat Rigo. Rigo is the quintessential boxer.
And two gold medalists. Outboxing
Who beat Rigo? Loma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. The great boxer that had to go up 2 divisions to fight him.
I'm not arguing that. You're right about that. But guess what? Rigo's still a better boxer than anyone Mikey's ever fought.
Way better. Way better.
I'm just saying, put it into context.
I know, I agree with the context, but even with the context, my point is still absolutely valid and true.
Okay.
Is it not?
I just don't know at what point the weight division doesn't count. Just because some like
you're picking Canelo to beat Kovalev. He's jumping up 2 divisions when he started at 147. That's a far bigger weight jump and weight gain than what Rigo did. Rigo was a career 122 guy. Moved up to 130.
30.
Well, I don't know what my pick for Canelo Kovalev's got anything to do with this.
Because the idea that size matters so much. Well, you're picking a guy that's moving up 2 weight classes after he's already moved up 2 weight classes.
Yeah, but my point is Rigo's fabulous boxing talent didn't matter a fuck when he moved up 2 weight classes. But I think Canelo's is because he's.
I don't. Okay, sure. Anyways, moving on. The rest of the card, there wasn't a lot to write home about. Jessica McCaskill won, but that fight was rough, man. For us, really made it an ugly affair. God, the amount of holding in that fight. I had to just sort of tune out, to be honest. That wasn't a fight that really entertained me.
Did you have Okoli flashbacks?
Yeah, but Okoli's more awkward, man. Like I said, like he's like a newborn baby deer, man. Like he doesn't move right as a boxer. Like his limbs don't like bend the right way. It's weird. Moving on to a more somber topic. Obviously, prayers up still for Patrick Day right now, who got knocked out against Charles Conwell in his fight. He's still in a coma after surgery. I'm like almost numb to this at this point. Like Maxim Dadashov is still like fresh in my mind, guys. Like and I knew instantly when he got knocked out something was wrong. You could tell. Like
it was his head hitting the canvas as well, right? It was not good.
It sounded like a coconut cracking. I'm sitting, a couple rows up. You could hear his head hit the canvas. Like it was bad. Like it was bad. Yeah. You knew that he was not getting up for a while. Like it was, you don't know the severity of it, but you knew he was not going to be in good shape. You heard his head crack like a coconut against the canvas.
Yeah, it was, and he showed great heart. He wasn't really winning rounds. He was already knocked down a couple of times or whatever. And, he was still trying to win the fight in the 12th round and just left his spin out in the air. And Como, I mean, when it happened, when you see a big knockout, that's why we watch boxing a lot of the time, right? And it's like the big knockout. It's like, wow. And obviously Como was pumped and he was all, big knockout. This is good on TV. And then you could just tell the mood changed and you could see the worry in Como's face. And, then the I mean, we call it stretcher, but I kept seeing the word gurney coming out
Same thing.
over there. But same thing. But and oxygen, and I believe he had some kind of seizure on the way to the ambulance. He still hadn't gained consciousness, and there was talk of like a pipe fit into the throat, obviously helping him.
Breathing ventilation tube.
Yeah.
Pipe. That's weird. I'm thinking like a metal pipe. I was like, what? He got hit by a pipe? I was starting to get like more worried. I didn't hear that.
No, come on. I'm just saying a hollow tube.
Tube. Breathing
Yeah.
tube.
And then surgery and put into a medically induced coma. So obviously from me, and just watching it at the time and just start getting that sinking feeling. And so obviously thoughts with all involved with Patrick Day,
family, friends, everyone.
Lou DiBella, he's represents both guys, so kind of bittersweet sort of feeling. Obviously he's happy for Conwell putting on a display, but now he's got the fear, because I think Eddie said it's clear when you talk to Lou how much he cares for his fighters, and that's a real bad moment. The whole boxing community came together for Errol Spence, wishing him all the best and hoping he pulls through, and lucky enough he seems to have come away pretty much unscathed, and he's going to be fine. So we're back now as a community trying to positive thoughts and hoping Patrick Day can come through.
Like the next day too, man. It's a tough week for boxing fans. A lot of emotion flying around. Let's jump to a more positive topic. Anthony Sims Jr. defeating Morgan Fitch. Oh my God. I'll say this. Clearly just a bad matchup, because Morgan Fitch had no business being in the ring with Anthony Sims Jr. And it was apparent rather quick. If Sims had like legitimate knockout power, he would have hurt this guy, and it would have been bad. I'll be honest. Yeah. It would have not been a pleasant sight. Luckily, Sims doesn't have that much power in a sense, so they took a little bit longer, and it wasn't as brutal. But I mean, he dominated Morgan Fitch. I think he clearly outboxed him every second of the fight. I'm just ready for him to take the step up, because he was fighting decent level opponents and then took a step down in opponent level.
I just want to say something. Like Fitch, he's fought on Golden Boy cards before. I'm not saying he's good, right? But
was a contender, right? He was on the contender. They were saying on the broadcast.
I know the name. I know I've seen him before. I don't think I've ever seen him win, but I know I've the Morgan Fitch. I've seen him fight before. I know I've seen him on Golden Boy cards in the past.
Okay, guys, you want to know who he fought? No, I got it. He fought Darnell Boone in 2013.
Bang! Boone knocked down Ward.
It was a split draw. It was a 6-rounder.
He beat Willie Monroe too. Keep that in mind.
Awesome. He then had a 3-fight losing streak to Yamaguchi Falcao, Avani Heatroff, and then Gerald Sherrill.
Wait.
Not Terrell Gachet. Gerald Sherrill.
Oh, Gerald. I thought you said jailed.
No, Gerald. Like Gerald Butler.
Like the now jailed.
Should I say like Gerard? Anyways, got knocked out by Heatroff as well. All of those are 6-rounders, except for the Falcao fight, which was a 10-rounder. Then beat Colby Quarter, and then obviously just lost Anthony Sims Jr. That's who he is.
The Falco fight was on a Golden Boy card. That's where I'd seen him before. I knew I'd heard of him before. Again, I'm not saying like Anthony Sims is like 25, 26 now. He should be fighting a higher level of competition. He shouldn't be fighting glorified club fighters. But
what do you make of the Rocky Fielding call out?
I love it. Love that fight for him. It makes perfect sense.
Twitter's gone mad saying Eddie Hearns told him to call out. And I'm like, well.
Sure. Okay. If he did, good for him. I mean, it's a good matchup. It makes sense. Rocky Fielding's a guy that is far bigger than him. A guy that's, relatively been at the top, but is a flawed fighter, significantly so. So it's a fight that Anthony Sims could easily win. Outbox Fielding, maybe get a knockout, look good, and has a common opponent with string guys who are champions now. So,
and BoxRec loves Rocky Fielding. They have him higher than Caleb Plant. Box Rec legend.
Oh, also on BoxRec, because I was arguing with someone that said that Usyk isn't a top 10 pound for pound fighter today, which is just fucking crazy. But I looked up the pound for pound rankings on BoxRec. Breedis is ranked above Usyk.
Which,
Huh.
you know,
I don't know how. that makes no sense. Shout out
What
to
in,
BoxRec.
in what sense? The box rec just
Pound for pound
pound for
rankings.
pound list.
Yes, yes.
Oh dear God.
Right?
But yeah, back to Sims Jr. I thought his jab when he pumps it is fast, sort of forceful jab. I know, like you said, Matt, whether it's real hurtful, but I think it does a job.
Well, to this
And,
guy, it does.
huh?
To this guy, it does. But I mean, we've seen him fight.
Yeah, but
Who was his last fight?
if you keep landing that, I don't care who you are, that's starting to take its toll, right?
I don't know. We fought Von Alexander, right, in his last fight that I was in attendance for, right? Von Alexander was a good step up, in my opinion. And he struggled in that fight. And they brought the competition level back down to a Morgan Fitch level. He picked
there
up
was
the KO
issues there,
win.
right? There was issues getting into that fight, though, right? It
He
was.
said that he never alluded to what those issues were, so I'm not going to speculate on what his issues were and
Well, he's got
whether
a
they affected.
new camp and everything now, right? He's got a new trainer, and so I don't know
Awesome.
what was going on. But
I don't know. I can't speculate on it. I asked him, obviously interviewed him, right, and he wouldn't talk to me about it, so I don't know. But I'm still of a wait and see mentality for Anthony Sims, similar to guys like Tanahara, Mario Barrios, guys that I know, Gary, things that I specifically hate on. But no, I think there's a lot of prospects that I'm just like, hey, they're talented. Obviously, you can see the talent, but I don't know what their ceiling is. It's hard to gauge that at this point in time. Are they going to be a top 20 guy? Are they going to be a top 10 guy, top 5 guy? Are they going to be a world champion? Perennial world champion, perennial top 10 guy? Are they going to be a top 30 guy? Like, those are all different things in varying degrees of success within your career. And there's a lot of guys that are hyped up as a prospect that don't reach all those different levels. So I'm always of a wait and see unless I see something really special in them. And Sims, I don't see something truly special yet, similar to Barrios. See the talent, see the skill, but something's missing. I don't know what it is yet, but great performance by Anthony Sims, but again, look at the competition level. Gary, thoughts on Anthony Sims' performance?
There's not much to critique. I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a little bit better athletically than Barrios is.
Oh, absolutely.
So I can see upsides there. He's got to fight someone better. Again, like, it's an incomplete. It's good. There's not much to criticize, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the competition.
Also, some other fights on the undercard, just to briefly mention them. TJ Doheny picked up a comeback win against Jesus Martinez via TKO in the 6th round. I didn't see that fight, to be honest, so I'm not going to comment on it. And Otha Jones, the third, picked up a win as well via UD. And my only critiques of Otha Jones, because he's a prospect, he should take critiques. And plus, he follows me on social media, so hope you're watching this. Set up your shots a little bit more. You're rushing it. You're rushing in with hooks, rushing with combinations. Slow it down a little bit. I know it's a 4-rounder, and a lot of young guys want to rush for that KO when it's a 4-rounder. But slow it down just a tad, work on your jab, and more importantly, throw more feints. Jones, you got to throw more feints because that'll set up your power shots. And your power shots are effective if you set them up more. And I think that was my only issue with his performance, that he was rushing it. But it was a 4-rounder. He's a young guy. It's to be expected.
I want to get in on this fight. I was at Otha Jones' pro debut, was on the Bivol Joe Smith card at Hooker, and I thought he was good. That guy ain't it. Like, if he's listening, I'm sorry. I was a fan. He fought Eric Manriquez. You know where he's from? You know where Manriquez is from?
Texas.
In his last fight, Manriquez fought, and you may know him, Arnold Alejandro. There's 2 brothers, Arnold and Angel Alejandro. They're both from Dallas. They fight on a lot of the PBC cards. And he's at about the same stage of his career as Otha Jones. He absolutely blew him out, right?
No. He didn't.
Arnold Alejandro didn't blow him out. This was on the Figueroa undercard in the Valley.
I'm looking at it right now. First off, they gave Manriquez more rounds against Alejandro than Jones. On top of it,
one of the judges had it even.
Hold on. They're both UDs. They're both unanimous decisions. Alejandro was a 6-rounder that went the full 6.
Sure.
Jones was a 4-rounder that went the full 4 rounds.
And it was a majority decision. One of the judges scored it 2-2, which I thought was reasonable. It was either 3-1 or 2-2.
Oh, that's right. You're right. It was a majority decision. I didn't see that. I didn't see the 2-2. I didn't see that.
Okay. But 3-1 for sure. Like, it was the third. Yeah, it was the third that Manriquez clearly won. And then the fourth, he was in the fourth too. I didn't give it to him. I had it 3-1 for Otha. But this is a guy who's, and Manriquez is trained by a guy named Dave Martinez, who is like one of the best trainers you've never heard of. He has got a stable of fighters who all have 500 records, but they're all way better than the record is kind of guy. If you want me to believe that Otha Jones, and I know he's only 18 or 19, is some kind of special talent, which
I'm not saying that, but to say that like Angel Alejandro blew out this guy,
yeah, that's probably an overstatement.
That's an overstatement. I mean, Otha Jones is 4-0 now.
Texas.
I mean, Otha Jones is 4-0. Like, I don't think anyone at 4-0, I'm gonna, except for maybe guys like Loma, who is a champion at 4-0 or like 4-1 technically. Like, I really think is gonna be special. Like, I gotta wait and see. So that's not what I'm arguing here at all.
But I think Eddie, like, they put him in like the co-main event here or the second to co-main. Like, I think Eddie thinks the world of this guy, and he ain't it. Like,
Eddie said in an interview after, he said he needs to do better. That was poor. He said that was a poor showing, and I think it was more, I hope he listens to this kind of thing and it gives him a kick up the ass. Basically, yeah, I'm sure Eddie, he's not throwing him to the wolves and saying, one more try, otherwise we're dropping you or anything like that. But he said he's got to do better. He expected a little bit more, but wasn't there like a clash of heads and caused a bit of, I don't know, if the Jones not rocked, but it just threw him off for a little bit, and I don't know, but yeah, it's just one of those nights. 4-rounder, like you say, Matt. I think sometimes these young kids, they feel like, I've got to get the knockout, I've got to impress. I've only got 4 rounds to do it.
They throw out game plan, technique out the window.
Yeah. Someone like Nikita, he seems to go out proper throwing bombs and seems to be going through guys no problem. Other guys are more technical, and you just can't blow guys out, doing that kind of, proper technical boxing and picking and throwing your shot. He was very, I don't know, trying to rush his work, I think, and it just met a guy that it wasn't going to happen with on that night, So, or they like 4-0, 5-0. So
you can. Sorry, quickly, Gary. You can rush your work only if you have the range down.
Yeah,
because then you're going to hit your shots more often because you got the range down. You just naturally, when you press them and you start rushing into shots and combinations, you're going to be able to land them more effectively. But if you don't have the range down and you're off the get-go, round 1, rushing someone, you're going to be missing a lot of shots and you're going to be inefficient because you don't have the range yet. You need that first minute and a half to sort of gauge this sort of the tempo, the pace, the speed, the range of what this fight is. This is how this guy reacts to certain movements. You need that adjustment period. It's hard. It's, again, 4-rounders. That's why I don't like judging prospects on 4-rounders.
Otha made his pro debut against a guy named Georgie Cavalli, who was 6-1, like a decent fighter, like not someone you'd make your pro debut against. And I was really impressed because he showed patience. Like, you saw the first round or two,
agreed.
Otha tried to blow him out. And then once that wasn't going to happen, like once he said, okay, this is a tough guy with some skills, he sat back and he outboxed him the rest of the fight. And I was really impressed with that. I don't know. He seems to be regressing. Like, I thought maybe it was just a bad performance, but he did not look good at all yesterday.
Definitely could have had a better performance. Moving on. Another fight this weekend that happened, I think a lot of people just forgot about. Josh Warrington fought this weekend, guys, on ESPN Plus and BT Sport, defeating Sofine Tokuche, whatever his name is, this guy from France. And I mean, look, it's a tune-up. He knocked him out in 2 rounds. Right? Yeah, 2 rounds. This guy clearly had no business being anywhere with a world-level fighter. Period. End of story. And if the rumors, not really rumors, speculation, let's say, because people like Frank Warren talking about it, that a Zhu Shan will be the WBA Super Champion since Leo is moving up and vacating that belt. That we get a unification between Zhu Shan and Josh Warrington. Give me that fight, please. That would be a war. And while it's not a Warrington Shakur Stevenson fight, which would probably be the fight that I would want for the division, it's right up there for me in all action. So I'll take a Zhu Shan Josh Warrington fight for unification if that's next. Guys,
Yeah,
Rob,
I like it. I mean, let's get a Shakur fight when he's actually got the title, right? So, yeah, I like the Kanju Zhu San, whichever way around you put it. I've seen it tweeted out both ways, so I'm not quite sure which is the surname.
it's Susan. Like, come on.
Susan, yeah, all right. But yeah, I like that fight. But yeah, Warrington, it was never. I mean, it was the highest available opponent, apparently, according to the rankings. So what are you gonna do? But
Fuck those rankings.
It's and maybe Matt can relate to this. You might not get it, Rob, but like in Texas, at least you play your homecoming game against the worst possible team on your schedule. That way, you get a win. Everyone's happy. You know, Warrington was coming home. He even got a knockout. When was the last time he got a knockout? So I mean, it's homecoming. It's like, wow, we got him a knockout. Now everyone, let's go out, dance, and celebrate, and have a good time. But that fight, I hadn't watched it because the level of
you don't need
there was
to.
no need to.
You don't need to.
yeah, we get what homecoming means, Gary, in England. Don't worry.
But do you know that you play the worst team on your schedule homecoming weekend?
Maybe
Typically,
not, I got it.
Well, I know there's like unis obviously in the UK, but like what's the step before universities? What's that
College.
called? Aren't universities and college the same thing?
not over there. College would be like a trade school, and then a university would be like Oregon State.
Okay. So what would be the equivalent for high school? Like when you're 14, Rob,
Yeah,
what's the name of that level of school?
yeah, that's like secondary school or
Secondary
high school. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have like homecoming games for like shit like that? Like I don't know, soccer or football, obviously, or
Yeah, no, look, you do.
I'm just wondering now.
I'm just saying, you do things differently, though. Yeah, we have a school team, but it's not got fucking high attendance. Like even your college teams are like bigger than any fucking league in the world. It's just it's not like
No,
that
I'm not.
here.
No, I'm not. And I'm asking about. You have to understand, high schools aren't like colleges. So like a homecoming game for my high school is a homecoming game.
But you have
Every high school.
cheerleaders and-
Yeah, you guys don't have like cheerleaders or not cheerleaders, but like you guys don't get like hype for like your secondary school football matches.
Not really.
Really?
You got to come to Texas.
That's shocking.
You got to come to Texas.
Wow. Anyways, moving on.
You got any excuse to be all USA, or
Well, no,
what
I
is
mean,
your
I mean,
school name?
high school isn't anything like USA. That's
all right. Enter school name here. Enter school name here.
well, yeah, but that's the same thing with like I don't know, Arsenal versus Liverpool or shit like that. You guys get
Well,
hyped for that.
That's the professional, supporters. You don't gonna get that in school.
Yeah, but
People are just
wait,
like,
hold on.
oh look, he gets to leave class early because he's got to fucking play football. Bastard.
That's weird.
There's more anger attached to it.
That's odd.
Rob, did you watch the Errol Spence versus what the heck was the mandatory's name?
Ocampo.
Ocampo. Did you watch that fight?
I did.
That's a high school football stadium in Texas. A high school plays there.
Yeah. There's different levels.
Well, Texas is just a different level entirely, especially when it comes to football, because Jesus Christ. But anyways, the rest of the card, I didn't watch the rest of the card because
Go down it quickly.
Zelfa Barrett versus Jordan McCory.
That was a good fight. It was a good fight. McCory, tough as hell, but yeah.
McCory knocked down 3 times, had 1 point deducted at the end of the 8th round for punching after the bell. Lyndon Arthur, who I'll probably actually go back and watch because I do like Lyndon Arthur, defeated Emmanuel Anim. Looks like both guys got cut. Troy Williamson, Ben Douglas, Shabazz Mossad.
Go and watch him. Go watch.
Okay. Mark Efron, who he fought like Liam Williamson, right? Or something like that. Or Liam Williams not too long ago, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. John Joyce. Any relation to Joe Joyce?
I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't catch any of the...
Yeah, the rest of the card is trash. We don't need to keep talking about it. A lot of 1-0 guys and debut guys. Just
Yeah.
don't care.
Go check out the
Shabazz Musaad.
yeah.
He was good. Okay, I'll go
A
check
lot
that
of
one
people
out.
hyping him up. He's slick. He done like the Matador, and his opponent. He kind of sidestepped, and his opponent was almost through the ropes, without even touching it. He's pretty slick.